I read this book in 26 minutes, and I'm feeling more prepared to develop our next generation of dancers and dance educators because I better understand the impact of a garage, self-care, and pink tights. This is 26-minute Reads with me, Mya D, and this reading vlog is kind of my accountability space because in these videos, I share with you my takeaways from my current read. This is book number 3 of my 26 to 26 challenge, where I'm reading 26 minutes per day. So this is more like slow reading rather than speed reading, and I hope that encourages you to join me along in this journey by reading along with me and sharing your thoughts in the comments below so there's an actual dialogue going on. This is my way of pouring into myself. This is my way of discipline and consistency in an ever-changing world. And this week I read pages 109 through 143 of the book. Let's get into these takeaways. Takeaway number 1 is garage. So on page 110 of the book, we're introduced to Stephanie Marie Powell, whose past affiliations include places like the Oakland Ballet, Dance Theater of Harlem, Albanelli Dance Theater, and the Lion King production on Broadway. She currently serves as a professor of dance at Long Beach City College. And on page 111, we find these words. Let me get them so that I can quote it correctly. We didn't have a studio. She just pulled the cars out of the garage and we danced there. Powell is referring to Cindy Trueblood, who was Powell's first dance teacher. And what really caught my attention is not that she started dancing at age 3, and not that it actually wasn't her that was in the class. It was Powell's babysitter that was taking the class, and Powell was just kind of on the side and learning the movements. What actually drew me into this was the statement about a beautiful commitment. A beautiful commitment in that at the time of the interview, Powell says that she's still dancing with Cindy, right? So she's still dancing with Cindy and it's 30 plus years later, but she's still committed to going back to that studio and giving to that studio. And that made me, that just touched my heart in many ways, right? Because we're told to give back, but this is not giving back, it's actually paying forward. And I really like the idea of that. Powell's interview actually takes place in 2014. So if you are just joining us for this video right here, I want to kind of bring you up to par, right? The author took several years to write this book. So this interview took place in 2014, but the book was published some years after that, right? So a beautiful life nonetheless, because this relationship, I would assume, is possibly still going on. So now it's like a 40-year relationship between a dancer and a dance instructor, right? So not only do we get to see the birth of a commitment between an instructor and a dancer, we also see the journey of a studio, because it started off in a garage, and now that studio is one of the long-standing pillars for dance in that community. So we see these two places of longevity in this one interview. I'm also reminded of this idea of seeing a gift, which has been mentioned in one of our earlier videos as well. So Cindy sees a gift in Powell, and then she speaks to that gift. She helps to grow that gift, and that gift then continues to be a blessing to many generations afterwards. And that's a reminder to us as educators that seeing the gifts in our students and speaking to those gifts can be a blessing for not just us, but the generations coming after. That's kind of amazing. Takeaway number 2 is self-care. And as someone who grew up in a studio, I really appreciated this discussion of self-care that we are finding on page 124 of the book. Here's the quote. I just think self-care needs to be a daily regimen, just like brushing your teeth and washing your face. As dancers, we have to massage, ice, get enough rest, rejuvenate the body and the mind, end quote. She also mentions these ice parties that the company would have when she was with Oakland Ballet. So during an ice party, members would collectively contribute to the purchase of ice. They would watch a movie and eat pizza as they ice their bodies, right? And there's this wonderful space of physical self-care and emotional self-care through fellowship that we find in this. And I'm going to speak to the space of physical self-care because that cannot be overstated as dancers. It's important to ice your body to help counteract that inflammation if you want to have a longer dance career, because inflammation in one space can lead to dot 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 dot. You can go ahead and fill in the blanks because I don't want to misquote, but I know that inflammation can be uncomfortable and can lead to other not so great things. So I'm going to leave it simply as that. Literally, and you want to think about it like literally, our mobility as dancers is what allows us to live the life that we love. And yet many of us are not taught to properly take care of our body or listen to our body. Some of us are actually taught the opposite. And I noticed this when I began to venture into the world outside of West African dance, and I would hear things like people's dance careers were only going until like their 30s, and that was different. It was different than the experience that I had, because in my world of dance and where I was trained and in the community that I was trained in, people were dancing well into their 60s and well into their 70s. People were dancing during their pregnancies, and people were dancing after they came back from their pregnancies, right? We were also taught to listen to our bodies. We were taught to question whether the pain that we were feeling was a pain of growth or a pain of injury, and then to act accordingly because of that. We were not, and I think that this is very important, we were not punished for being injured, punished or threatened for being injured, right? It was conveyed to us the importance of listening to your body, sitting down now so that you can be stronger later, and what sitting down or sitting out means, right? How to actively sit out, to sit on the side and to observe, and how that can be help to make you a better dancer, right? So sad that I had to sit out. Yes, I have been sad that I had to sit out, but I was never afraid of sitting out. I was never afraid of sitting out. And I think that that makes a big difference in your lifespan as a dancer. During the interview, Powell also mentions witnessing dancers not warming up properly or not listening to their bodies and continuing to dance while they were in pain. Now, as I said, I was taught to listen to pain as it was an alert that something was going on and to question it. So as we step into takeaway number 3, I want to echo Powell's sentiment. Dancers need to rest so that we can rejuvenate our mind, our body, and our spirit, so that we're able to do the thing that brings us joy and then bring joy to other people. As we step into takeaway number 3, I would also like to say that while I have several decades of experience as a dancer, an educator, and a curriculum writer, I am not the know-all be-all for this book. I'm simply here attempting to provide a space for dialogue so that we can all be better dancers and better educators for those that are with us right now and those that will be coming to us soon. Our third and final takeaway is pink tights. Now, this one is going to be a quick one because I want to hear your thoughts about this topic. This quote is coming from Indolin Taylor and can be found on page 129. And I quote, excuse me, "It's funny, it's such a part of me that whenever I see pink tights on brown legs, I have to get used to it. it's shocking to me. So when this interview with Endalyn Taylor begins, Taylor is leading Dr. Naya through the hallways of DTH and commenting on images and so forth, and the uniqueness of DTH in their use of flesh tone tights. So I was immediately drawn to the term flesh tone tights because as a child I was in the band. I was in the band, the concert band, and sometimes we were told for our evening performances that we needed to wear nude pantyhose or nude tights. And I would sit there and I would look at my legs and it didn't match my skin complexion. And I questioned, like, who is this nude for? Like, what's the standard? Because this is not nude for me. I questioned, whose nude this was, and how that felt like to not be the standard. I can still feel that moment inside of my body now. Taylor talks about the privilege of DTH having a team that would match their complexion to their tights, which is a great privilege because I remember being a coordinator of a community dance program and my staff talking to our younger dancers about the process of dyeing their tights so that their tights would be their complexion. I'm not exactly sure that I have the vocabulary to put this into words, but there's a level of relief and happiness in my soul that some little one is coming after me is not going to have to question whose complexion is a standard, because they'll easily be able to now in today's society purchase a pair of flesh tone tights. Prior to Taylor's statement of the pink tights being shocking to her, she also mentioned Arthur Mitchell, that is ideology around the flesh tone tights, because it's how it extends the leg, how it extends the line of the leg through the toe. So it extends that line, and in some forms of dancing, lines are very important if you are new to the dance world, which I also want to elevate because it's my understanding that that's why pink tights are used for some. So for some people, pink tights does the extension of the line. So the function of the color is to extend the line, not that the color in and of itself is the standard. And I think that if you understand the function of the color, you are able to grasp how the color needs to be relative and reflective of the dancer. But as I said, I would love to hear your thoughts around this topic, so please leave them in the comments below. I'm also always looking for another book to read, so if you have a book title, you can drop that in the comments below, or just drop an apple or a book so that I know that you're here with me. This has been 26-minute reads with me, Mya D. There are some wonderful things in the details that I try to leave as additional resources. Give them a check. Like and subscribe if you liked this video or found it interesting in any other kind of way. Stay blessed, spread a good word, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.